rand that has been set aside to deal with the nightmare of informal settlements. And he is from the Abahlali Mjondolo, and this is the Shack Dwellers Organization. Thapelo, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning to the listeners.
Right, let's talk about this 10 billion rand that has been set aside to deal with the nightmare of informal settlements. Let's talk about this nightmare. What are people in informal settlements experiencing?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. First and foremost, the issue of informal upgrading has been one of the issues that we've been advocating for, because we believe that people can be their own development, that while people are still living in informal settlements, there should be access road, there should be water, there should be electricity, they should be electrified. The conditions right now in the informal settlements are very indignified. We are living like pigs in the mud. There is no access road. There's water all over that is being there for years. That is very dangerous to our kids. We have people who have, diseases that, besides the pandemic, there were already diseases that existed in the informal settlement. We welcome this announcement by the minister. However, we are very cautious that this is not just one of those campaigning. We're having elections this year, so we will be hearing the ministers in all portfolios announcing that they will be introducing budgets to improve the lives of the poor. But for us who are living in informal settlements, this is a reality that we are living under. And informal upgrading, the upgrading of informal settlement has always been something that we've been advocating for. And in Durban, for instance, the electrification of informal settlement was illegal for years, and we had fought against that. And now the city of Durban is actually electrifying informal settlement. So we welcome this, but we are very cautious of the minister. She announced during COVID a relief of 600 million for those who are paying rent and the landlords, so that people who are paying rent do not pay rent during the pandemic and the lockdown. However, we know that money is still not yet being dispersed to the right places. So we are very cautious. However, if the budget is available and it's not an electioneering or campaigning for the elections, announcing things that they won't be able to do, we will welcome that 10 billion.
Well, certainly, and obviously we know the nature of the problem, the nature of the beast, and 2.2 million people in South Africa living in informal settlements. So the need is great. Any specific areas, this 10 billion rand that the government is talking about, as far as upgrade is concerned, what should they be focusing on, Thapelo?
Well, first and foremost, it is very difficult when an elderly person is sick or anyone is sick for an ambulance to get access to the informal settlement. People are still using one standpipe. About 50 families would be using one standpipe in some of the informal settlements. Lately, in a research that we have done with our partner, the International Budget Partnership in Cape Town, or in an initiative that they started, we call Abahlali, we've done a survey interviewing people. We have discovered that some actually informal settlements do not have access to water. I can mention a few. Ekenana in Cato Crest is still without water. There is no access road, so refuse is not collected. Children are playing in the waste that is sometimes 6 months old, because people only burn their waste and no one comes to collect their waste because there's no access road for cars to go there. So the major concern is, first and foremost, for people to access basic services such as healthcare. People die as a result of not having access to an ambulance that will come into the area. So that is the major thing. Water is life. And when you don't have water, people have resorted in connecting their own water from water that is far from them. And sometimes they will go weeks without water because there's no pressure in that water that they are using. And during the pandemic, when we were asked to wash our hands and so forth, people in the informal settlements were unable to do that. The government had to put in some JoJo tanks to ensure that people do get access to water. But those JoJo tanks, as I speak to you now, are not being filled with water. They are empty. So those are major crises, the basic need that every human being needs in the informal settlements. That is access to healthcare and water as a major necessity for any human being that is alive. So for people to be robbed of that right, and it's a right to life, because if you don't drink water, if you don't look after yourself using water, or you don't get access to healthcare because you don't have access to roads, then you are bound to actually lose your life as a result of that. Those are the major essential things that needs to be done. Yes. We have in the past said the only reason why we are in this crisis, of course, people are urbanization is something that we can't stop. People want to be closer to places of opportunities, where there are universities, where there are jobs, opportunities, and so forth. But we are saying that in order for this to work, the government should include the people on the ground. So there must be a proper consultation with the people on the ground, so that people are part and parcel of that, so that you don't have a problem where you are doing a reblocking, for instance, trying to have access to roads, and then you have people who are against that and so forth. But if there is meetings, engagement with the people on the ground prior to this initiative, I think it will be a success.
Thapelo, I see the Ishek Dwellers Organization, Abahlali Mjondolo. I hope I said the name correctly. But you've issued now a press release, a press statement with regard to the people of Palestine. It is entitled "The Blood of the Palestinians is Our Blood." And obviously you identify with what is happening in Palestine, because you're saying exactly the same thing. Poor black people in South Africa today, our homes continue to be violently destroyed. And you're also talking about the solidarity for the people of Palestine, at the same time highlighting the fact that Israel is a criminal state guilty of a long crime against humanity.
Thank you very much for that. I think one of the most important things that this movement has made it to exist for the past 15 years has been a stand that it takes, and it never, it doesn't care whether the person or the individual or the country is powerful, how powerful the country is. And we want to make it very clear that what is happening in Palestine is Israel bullying and attacking and doing exactly the same thing that the apartheid government did in South Africa. And we are very concerned. I know that the South African government has condemned what is happening in Palestine, but we are still using products that are coming from Israel. We are still having ships that are coming in and out of South Africa that are coming from Israel. So we are still supporting Israel and working with Israel and having that international working relationship with Israel, even though we know that Israel is doing exactly what the apartheid government did to us. So when we say the blood of the Palestinians is our blood, the pain of the Palestinians is our pain, we are saying that we know what the people of Palestine are going. It is only when you know and you understand how oppression works that you understand how the people of Palestine goes. And every day and every night, every blood that pours out of Palestine, we feel the pain because we understand how they feel. We've been attacked by different invasion units while we're trying to build our homes. Our homes have been bent down and destroyed. People may say these are shacks, but these are our homes. It's what we can afford. It's what we have. So what is happening in Palestine every day when we watch the news and see, we wonder why the United Nations, why is the African Union not doing anything to protect the Palestinians. There needs to be a voice against what the Israel government is doing to the Palestinians. So we feel the pain, and it's the pain that we feel deep down in our heart. It cuts down deep in our hearts because we understand what they are going through, and the lives that have been lost. We understand what they are going through, and every day we pray. But as we pray, we must also take action, and we must also call upon the international world, not only to condemn in words, but to also do something to actually protect the lives of the Palestinians.
Well, Thapelo, thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on News and Views on Salam Media this morning. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thapelo Mohapi from the Sheikh Dwellers organization. And this is the level of support. These are people that are poor. These are people that have nothing. These are people that are living in informal settlements. And this is a stand. And right towards the end of this communication, the statement is very, very strong. It's very, very powerful, where the statement says, the world must be humanized. We stand with the people of Palestine. We will work with all other progressive organizations to support the work to build solidarity with Palestine in South Africa and elsewhere. Any Palestinian activist who is in South Africa and wishes to meet with us will be treated as an honored guest in our occupations. Now, this is how profound this is. This is how powerful this is. And this comes from the Sheikh Dwellers organization in South Africa. The time is headed for 9 a.m. We're heading for the news. We'll be back.